Alright, hey YouTube. This is gonna be a quick video. I'm really not feeling so hot right now. I'm kind of sick. And I don't really have to say, but I'm gonna make this a 3-section video, or I'm gonna divide this video up into about 3 sections and talk about 3 different topics. And I'm gonna talk about first. I want to talk about circumcision. There was a Joe Rogan video where Joe was talking about it, and he was against the procedure. Obviously, everyone knows that. He was talking about it can kill babies because he was talking about Andrew Yang, and there was a woman that said his policies didn't really appeal to her. And he said something about, he said he was against circumcision. She seemed like she didn't care, and he's like, oh, really? You don't care about the babies that died from this? So anyways, there's some guy in there. He's probably a troll, but that's not important. Who I replied to, and he was talking about it, and I said it can kill up to 50 to 120 children a year, or basically kills probably around 100. The typical estimate is between 90 to 100, 90 or 100, somewhere in there. Sometimes it's less, sometimes it's more, but that's not the point. And I've done research on this, and I've looked up statistics and polls, and I've seen numbers. 1 year, I remember the procedure killed 90-something children. I think it was like 93 children or 90-something children. I forget how many or what it was. But anyways, the point is, he was trying to argue, and again, he's trying to say that that's not true, or it kills way less than that. I forget exactly what he said. And I'm not even going to bother saying his name because it's not that important, and I don't think I could pronounce it anyways. But anyways, he's trying to say it doesn't. Now, first of all, this is just a guy on the internet, as I told him. I'm talking about stuff that I researched and looked up. He's spouting these facts. I don't know how many are true. And he talks about general mutilation deaths equals so many, and only so many of that is infant or something to that extent. I don't know what he's talking about. I know that female circumcision or hodectomy also, by the way, doesn't kill necessarily a female child I'm sure if it was performed correctly and everything went right, but it's still illegal. Because you don't have a right to decide something like that for a female child. But that's not the main thing I even want to talk about here. And you shouldn't a male child either, by the way. But that's not what I want to talk about here. I want to talk about my home state of North Carolina, Winston-Salem. I can't think of the exact hospital, but it was in Winston-Salem. They had an infant that died from this procedure during the coronavirus outbreak, when medical institutions, by the way, had told people to postpone any unnecessary procedure, and that was to include this. And many hospitals in other states have, but not in my state because, well, let's be honest, my state is a shithole, but that's not the point. Anyways, so a child died during a procedure that was unneeded and unnecessary, that wasn't even supposed to be performed during the coronavirus. And it was not coronavirus related. It was just like many other deaths that happen every single fucking year from the stupid procedure. But it also now puts the child and other people, anyone involved, at a higher risk of possibly contracting the coronavirus. And it's like, this was unnecessary. So if that child was the only child to die in the entire country from this fucking stupid procedure this year, given the fact that it's not needed and there's no actual medical reason for doing so, and even the former head of the AAP, or the American Academy of Pediatrics, came out and said himself there was no fucking reason for doing this. There was no benefits, and they basically lied. And he admits this, and he admitted himself that, of course, the most interesting argument against it is human rights and the rights of the child, something that I am concerned with, and I'm going to go into that in a second. If that was the only child that died, then that's too many damn children. That is one too many children to die from a fucking procedure there is no reason to perform. And it might not make any difference to you, but it makes all the difference in the world to the parents of that child who was misled and lied to about this stupid procedure and having benefits when it doesn't, and they admit it doesn't now. And it made all the damn difference in the world, obviously, that child who is 6 feet in the fucking ground right now. But then again, in a state, and by the way, let me say this, it might not make no difference to you, but it makes all the difference to me as a humanist and a human rights activist and someone that does care about the rights of children, along with children and animals. As someone who does care about their rights, it makes a big difference to me. And that's a dead child now from a procedure there was no reason to fucking perform in the first place and does no good. And we do know can be harmful. And of course, I don't expect this country to give a ever loving fuck because if you go to New York now, you can literally kill the infant, just straight murder the infant a day after it's born in New York. Um, or however that works, however long after it's born, because of abortion rights. Abortion, even though that has nothing to do with abortion, that is an abortion, it has nothing to do with abortion. But I guess in a country like that, you're not really going to care too much about a dead baby, now are you? But to me, as an actual fucking humanist, it made all the difference in the world, and I do care. I do care about these fucking children. I don't think it's right, and it is a child issue. It's a male rights issue, whether you like that phrasing or not. It is one, and it's fucking wrong. And if you can't do it to a child, to a female child, or to a female, and you haven't been able to in 20 plus fucking years or 20 something years, then you shouldn't be able to do it to a fucking male child. So that's a dead baby now, a dead baby that there was no reason to be dead because of your stupid shit. Because it just wasn't good enough. You couldn't leave good enough alone, could you? Just like with the coronavirus, nature isn't good enough. You have to fuck it up. Anyways, another comment this asshat left me about 2 weeks ago when I was probably either sick or depressed or something else. I just didn't feel like getting back to him. Or maybe I didn't get the comment. I don't know. I think YouTube was glitching about a week or two ago. Anyways, was a comment having to do with, he talks about just because it isn't necessary, it isn't harmful. Checkups aren't necessary, but it's not harmful. Well, what I told him was, yeah, checkups are not harmful, but guess what? They also don't pose any kind of harm. They're not necessary, but they don't pose any kind of harm to you or any kind of significant change or long-lasting change in the life. Pretty much long-lasting change in the life, harm or change of any kind in the life of the patient or the person. And you don't have to go, by the way, or even if you are a child and their parents make you go to a checkup, the checkup, at least the checkup in and of itself, God knows, our medical institution, what fucking advice they might give, but the checkup in and of itself, it's not harmful, and it poses no long-lasting harm. And it doesn't pose any other kind of change, negative or positive. But actually, I should have said that because it can pose positive change. Because if you don't go to a checkup, you could have coronavirus, you could have something else wrong with you. And it can be good in many cases, or in some cases, to go to a checkup. So that's not even true. Circumcision, whether we want to argue it's bad or good, does no good. That is for sure. There is no good that comes out of it. And it's a checkup. Yeah, you go to the checkup. Male, females, you go to your doctor for your monthly, yearly checkup, whatever the fuck kind of checkup you're going to. Just like females might go to a gynecologist. But guess what? If the doctor starts pulling out a knife and raving it around, she's going to scream, knee them in the balls or pussy, the crotch, whatever they are. She's going to knee them in the crotch and run out screaming rape. And she should. And any fucking male in a situation, put in a situation like that, with that kind of dehumanizing, inhuman activity or action being forced upon them, should do the same. And goddamn it, it's just a shame that a fucking infant can't do that, because goddamn it, they would and they should. And again, you don't want to say it causes neurological problems. What about the children who are older that it happens to? Because you have to remember, in Florida, not long ago, only a few months ago in Florida, you had a 6-year-old this happened to, against the mother's consent, because the father wanted it done, and the court sided with the father. And there was, as far as I know, no cultural or even religious and or even cultural reasons to have it done. The father, for some fucking sociopathic reason, just wanted it done. And now this kid's fucked, not to mention all the court trials and dragging them through the courts and everything else that happened. So now you have a mother and a child mentally scarred, mentally, and in the child's case, physically scarred from a fucking procedure that ultimately amounts to a kind of medical rape that never should have happened. And that's okay in America. Again, you know what? Hey, coronavirus. Anyways, from there, I want to go on about the fucking, I guess let's talk about feminism, because that kind of parallels a little bit more. This kind of segues into that a little bit more. Feminists, and a lot of male feminists in particular, want to talk about, here's the thing about feminism, and this is my take on it. Ultimately, ow, chest. I don't know. That's weird. Anyways, haven't had that happen. That feminist. I lost my train of thought. Fuck, what was I going to talk about? Feminists. A lot of the male feminists, let's just say male feminists, female too, but especially male feminists, ultimately, they want to, hot where I'm at. It's really, really hot right here. It's really hot in here. Yeah, scratch that one. Yeah, scratch the whole fucking thing. I'll make another video because this is already running about 11 minutes, and I really don't really know anything else I was going to talk about, but yeah, that's all. So I guess that'll be the fucking video, and it sucked, but I just wanted to get that out there because that was on my mind and I was feeling it a little bit more. I'm not going to go into talking about the other video because I'm not going to go into talking about the other two subjects right now because I can't really think of what I want to say. And like when I have something to say, it kind of comes and goes. Sometimes what I'll say will be smart, sometimes it'll be stupid. So I'm just going to leave it at there because that was probably, as good as I could do. So, whatever. No more porn wasting any more of your time, and that's all. Peace, 666.